I'm Rob DeCou. I live in Los Angeles, California, and this is the OhioRAAM Show.
Thank you, Robert DeCou, for that introduction. Robert rode solo last year in the Race Across America, and he was with the 3,000 Mile to a Cure program. They have two teams in Race Across America 2017, and we're going to have one of those teams, the Four Dudes, on the show on the 17th of May. And this is a show about cycling and ultracycling. It comes to you 3 times a month on the 7th, the 17th, and 27th of each month. And I'm Lee Kreider, the host of the show, and we're now ready for show number 144. This show is sponsored by Time Stations 41 in Oxford, Ohio, and Time Stations 42 in Blanchester, Ohio, time stations on the Race Across America. These time stations during the race will be open 24 hours a day with 24-hour food, 24-hour fuel, and 24-hour fans. It's a great place to come and view the race. It's a great place to come and learn about the race if you're unfamiliar with ultracycling or unfamiliar with the Race Across America. Whether you're there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the morning, there's going to be somebody there who can help you understand what's going on. This year's race will begin on the 13th of June in Oceanside, California, ending in Annapolis, Maryland. And with that in mind, we would expect that our time stations will be open here in Ohio from June the 20th through June the 24th. Now, we've had a couple of pieces of news that's happened since we last saw you 10 days ago. First of all, we are very happy to report that Danny Chu, a veteran of the Race Across America and probably one of the better-known ultracyclists in the whole world, was back on the bike this past weekend, riding his first trip on a tricycle, a hand-cranked trike. And we wish Danny the very best. We'll be hearing more from Danny on this show in the days ahead. And we want to congratulate Jasmine Mueller of London, England, for breaking Chris Hopkinson's 72-hour record riding in a Swift stationary bike. She really did a great job, and we're looking forward to Jasmine in the Race Across America in 2017, and we're going to have her on the show. And the date for that show will be March 27th. Today's show, we travel to New Zealand to be with Chad Williams, who will be riding solo in the Race Across America in 2017. And as the show goes on, you're going to be seeing a number of the sponsors that Chad has developed. Apparently, they got good support there in New Zealand, and so with that, we're just going to pop right on over to New Zealand and Chad Williams. So how is it down there in New Zealand, Chad?
It's beautiful, mate. We're coming into summer, so we're starting to get some good weather. It is a little bit colder, but we're getting there slowly.
Where in New Zealand are you from?
I'm from a little town called Waitara in the North Island of New Zealand.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do to put bread and butter on the table, and some of your interests besides cycling.
So I'm 24. I have a daughter, and by trade I am a civil engineer. My other interests include music. I'm a bit of a musician, so I enjoy playing with bands, live music, watching music, and riding my bike. We have a beautiful foreshore here in where I live, so I spend a lot of time there as well.
Well, I looked on the map just before we started together, and it looks like you are very close to the ocean, are you not?
Very close to the ocean. It's a walk away, yeah.
And while I was looking at the maps, you apparently live under the shadow of a volcano, do you?
Yeah, a dormant volcano that's about 50 years overdue for an eruption. So fingers crossed it doesn't happen anytime soon or during the show.
Did I just see a dog walk behind you there?
Oh, probably. We like animals. We have 2 small dogs and 3 cats, and we used to have birds, and we're an animal-friendly home here.
Tell me a little bit about how you got into cycling, why you got into cycling.
No, I'm pretty new to this, especially endurance stuff. So I had family members who were cyclists, and they recommended that I get a bike and go bike riding with them. It was more of a thing to clear my head. I wasn't competitive or anything. I battle with depression, so it was more get on my bike and go out and clear my head. I managed to get a coach who put together a training program for me, and just to see how things went, and it kind of snowballed from there, where I enjoyed going for longer rides rather than hard and fast rides. So I said to him one day, I wonder what it feels like to ride a bike for 12 hours. And so we built up to it, and I went for a 12-hour ride, and I found it really easy, and we just carried on from there, keep going further and further, and that's sort of how I found RAM as well, finding out what the biggest thing I could probably do was.
The biggest and the craziest, Chad?
Yeah, hardest bike race in the world. So I figured, why not? I got nothing else on. So
You were qualified before this last race you did, were you not, for RAM?
yes, in November 2015, I did 4 laps around a large lake, Lake Taupo, which is just shy of 400 miles, and that qualified me for RAM. But when I did the race, I didn't actually enter it to qualify. It just kind of happened. I just got a certificate from Rick and Fred, and they said congratulations, and I thought, oh, okay. And then I put some consideration into it, and that's when I thought maybe if I'm good enough to qualify, maybe I'm good enough to finish. So I've adjusted my training accordingly, and I've started doing some longer stuff now.
Well, you're not the first person to get one of those certificates by surprise and all of a sudden discover that they were qualified for RAM. And I at least know one person who got one, and he didn't even know what RAM was about.
Yeah, I have heard of the accidental qualifier. Yeah.
So you did that race again recently, and I think you turned out rather well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did the race twice as long. So I did 8 laps this time, and I was pretty successful. I managed to win it by quite a few hours ahead of my next competitor, which was the goal. Obviously, I wanted to win it. I already have RAM in my head. So the expectation was that I went in there and I won that race, and me and my support crew, we just performed well and to the plan, and we came away with the win, and I've qualified again. So it's a good feeling.
It's 100 miles around the lake. Is that what I understand about?
Yeah, it's just short. So essentially I was just short of 800 miles in 68 hours and 55 minutes, which is longer than I would have liked, but the conditions weren't favorable. So.
And again, I was looking at that lake, and that is a giant caldera, isn't it?
It's a big crater filled with water. Yeah, we live on a landmine.
Is that one keyed to go off anytime soon, or is that in pretty?
Yeah, no, I think that one's overdue as well. So give me a couple more years, I'll be happy.
You Kiwis, no wonder you're up to such challenges like climbing Mount Everest and so forth. You don't know if you're going to be alive one day or the next down there, do you?
No, that's right. But we actually just had one like 2 weeks ago, which was pretty devastating. New Zealand is essentially, it's on a fault line, so the plates just rub together all the time, and we get shaken up, and houses get destroyed, and we rebuild, and we start again, and we just carry on.
Now, that last earthquake was on the South Island again, was it? Did that affect you at all?
I felt it. I definitely felt it. My whole house shook. It was felt pretty much the length of the country. Luckily, where I live, there was no real damage. The South Island was pretty devastated, though, unfortunately. We're just situated directly above one. So,
how's your crew shaping up for 2017, Chad?
I'm pretty fortunate to be surrounded by a bunch of people who really want to see me succeed in this. So I've got 5 people coming from New Zealand heading to America. I was actually fortunate enough to be a crew member on Michael Conti's team this year, and so I've met some people over in America, and they're going to help me help crew for me as well. So I think I've got a pretty good crew. I mean, he made it look really hard, but I think it's going to be good. I saw a lot and I learned a lot. I'm glad that I got to see as much of RAM as I did. It was an amazing experience.
What's the most important thing you learned while you were crewing that you're going to apply?
It was actually not during the race. It was all the things that happened before the race. So I arrived and there was registration and there was vehicle inspections, bike inspections. There were media interviews that you get penalties if you reject an interview. All these things that I shrugged off really are actually really important and can play a massive part in your race build-up and your race preparation. So I think seeing all that before I had to experience it myself was really beneficial. The race itself, I learned a lot of things that I had budgeted for originally that I don't actually need. They weren't essential. So this allowed me to save money in my budget. Crewing was, I mean, Mike is a great rider and a great guy. So he actually made being a part of his crew really easy. I learned little things, small things that pay big dividends later on, especially like in the heat of the desert, keeping us cool and fed and out of the sun as much as possible.
That's very good. Now, you have a charitable interest that you're supporting. You want to tell us about that?
Yes, I'm doing this in support of the Key to Life charitable trust here in New Zealand, which they travel around New Zealand promoting, it's all about mental health awareness and suicide awareness and prevention, which is a tough topic, but it's something that New Zealand suffers terribly from. And I want to be a good ambassador for positive change in mental health in New Zealand. So I'm doing this in support of those guys. They're a great bunch of people doing great work in the community. So,
those of you who are watching on the show, on the website, OhioRAAMshow.com, you'll see a link to this right below the video there. You can click on it and learn some more about it. And I think there's even a place there where you can donate, if I saw correctly. I looked at it real briefly, but you'll find it there. And if you're not watching the show on the website, you can go to the website, OhioRAAMshow.com, and you'll find link right there. Have you had an interest in this for some time in the whole mental health field? Or is this?
Yeah, it's not something that's new to me. I battle with depression myself, so it's very close to home, and I have a number of family and friends who also battle with it. So this isn't just some sort of charity that I've plucked out of a hat. This is something that I've chosen because it's really important to me, and that's why I'm trying to push for such a positive change, because it's so personal.
Tell us a little about your family. You say you have.
I have a daughter. Yep, a 4.5-year-old daughter, 4.5 going on about 20. She's really supportive of my cycling. It's quite hard. Obviously, I miss a lot of time with her because I'm training. But then, like the race that I just had, she gets to reap the rewards as well because I came home with a gold medal, and she gets to wear that around the house. She understands what cycling means to me and what it does for me, even at 4.5. She's a very switched on person. At the moment, I live at home because I'm saving money to come to America. So I'm pretty well looked after by mum and dad. So thank you to them, my #1 supporters.
That's a good thing, and maybe we've got a future cyclist to add to the women. We want more women out there, Chad.
I don't know if her mum would appreciate me putting that on her, but I can definitely show her what it's all about.
Sometimes kids pick up on it, and sometimes they don't. It's their call, not yours.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Chad, it's been really great chatting with you this evening here. It's very late here, but it's early evening over there. You're about 18 hours ahead of us, and it's always something of a challenge to work out times like this, and it's easy to make mistakes, but we got together, and we appreciate having you. Before you go, got anything that you'd like to say we didn't get to?
No, I would just like to thank everyone for watching this and for your ongoing support. All my supporters in New Zealand, and my sponsors, my bike shop, Mitchell Cycles, plug there for you. I appreciate it. I'm a pretty green and humble rider. I'm learning every day, so I'm not some young up-and-coming pro or anything like that. I'm just giving it a go. So I appreciate everyone who's supported me from the start and continues to support me. Thank you very much.
Well, we appreciate you coming all that way to ride the race across America. I do find that you people from New Zealand and Australia seem to not be challenged at all about coming across the Pacific Ocean with all these long flights to visit us, sometimes for very short periods of time, but we're always happy to have you people with us. And thank you for being with us, Chad.
No problem. Thank you for being so welcoming.
Well, thanks, Chad, for taking time to be with us on the show. We wish you well in the upcoming race. And we want to thank you for watching the show. We want to thank all of our viewers and particularly all of our supporters, those who support the show on social media with giving us likes and shares and pluses and retweets. It means a lot to us, but it means much more to the sport of ultracycling. You help spread the word, and we thank you for that. If you're not watching the show on the website, OhioRAAMshow.com, we hope that you will. Every show will have show notes right below the video. There'll be information there about the team. There will be links to their websites and other sites that are important to this particular group. Always be sure to visit the website and check out those show notes and some of the other links there and information that you'll find. Now, our next show, we're going to go to Galway, Ireland, to visit with 4 ladies who are a part of the Galway Babes. They're a 4-person team who's going to be racing in the Race Around Ireland, and they have their sights set on bigger things as well. So we look forward to visiting with these 4 charming ladies. They are a fun group, I'll tell you that. And with that, we'll see you in about 10 days, and goodbye.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.